10% change. 10% change is something that resonated today, May Day 2018, in my chiropractic office. And it's a typical day in the office where I'm dealing with people that are having some issues and struggling with nutrition and weight and wanting to exercise and not being able to follow through. And we're dealing with pain and arthritis and chronic disease and stress and so on and so on and so on. So, typical day in my office, and I'm trying to help people guide their life in a good direction, okay? Of course, through the years, I've done a lot of videos on subject matters of improving your health and wellness. Well, we want to talk about 10% improvement today. So, as we talk about nutrition, a lot of people will engage in a huge dietary change, right? As an example, and they'll say, I'm going to change everything right now. And they go in their fridge and their cupboards and they throw everything out and they get a bunch of roots and dirt and put it in their cupboards and fridge, and they say, I'm only going to eat dirt and grapefruit in the morning, and that's it. And that lasts, a few days or a week or two, and then boom, we're right back falling off the wagon and getting into what we want to eat. The exercise thing, come January 1, right? Somebody has great intuition and they want to make changes and the best intentions, so they exercise for a month or two or a week or two or whatever, and then fall off. Life shows up. Or it's sleep, or water, or getting to the chiropractic office to deal with their neck and back and headaches and gastrointestinal problems and migraines and so on and so forth, and children with ADHD and whatever it might be, okay? So today, even today, with 3 or 4 patients, I gave them a suggestion. How about this? Let's try to have you improve 10%. So in talking nutrition, I said, do you think you could eat 10% more vegetables? One person said, yeah, I could do that. I said, could you eat 10% less sugar? Uh-huh. How about 10% less snack foods? Sure, okay. How about 10% less volume of food, just consuming a little bit less? So the suggestion there was chew a little bit slower, which will give your digestive system a chance. So chew a little bit slower. And if you chew slower, it takes time for the full signal to get from your stomach to your brain, so it's going to allow that to occur. And there you go. All of a sudden, if you're eating 10% slower, you're going to eat 10% less, and there you go. So I made that suggestion. How about 10% less animal protein? Could you do that? Yeah, I can do that. There it is. So I had that person that has been struggling, trying to lose weight for several years. Another one I'm thinking of, trying to lose weight also. Another one also, this is just today, also trying to lose weight and struggling with what quote-unquote diet to do. And I thought, no diets. Diets die. Let's make some changes in your nutrition. But I thought 10%, I think anybody can do this, right? Then I was working with another person on exercise. And I said, let's make a 10% change in exercise. Well, that might not work for a lot of you if you're not exercising at all. So 10% of 0 would be 0. But 10% improvement. So with this woman that was saying, I used to walk around the reservoir, the Wakefield Lake, as an example. And that's 3 miles. And I said, well, that's too much, because you're not going to go do that. If you don't have an hour to walk around the entire lake, you won't go. Is that right? She said, that's right. I said, I want you to walk 15 minutes. Can you walk 15 minutes? She said, yeah, I can do that. Do you have time? Yes. Will you do that today? I asked her, and I waited for the answer. And she said, yes. I said, great. I don't want you walking around the lake. I want you walking 15 minutes a day, every day. And if it rains, you still have that gym membership? Yes. I said, go to the treadmill and do 15 minutes. Can you do that? She said, yes. 10% change. For those of you who are not resting enough, I say, can you get 10% more sleep and watch TV 10% less at night to get to bed earlier and do that and get that 45 minutes or hour, whatever it might be? Most people say, yes, I can do that. I say to people, can you drink 10% more water if they're not drinking enough water? And in a rough number, I would say about 80% of the people that come into my office are not drinking enough water. They're dehydrated. I think that's pretty representative of most of us. Can you drink 10% more water? Most people say yes. 10% less coffee. I say no soda. That should be 0% soda. But anyway, 10% improvement there. Most people say yes. I ask people, can you increase your spine exercises by 10%? If you're only doing 3 days a week, Can you do it 4? The goal would be every day, like brushing your teeth. But I say, can you do 4 days a week? Sure. For a lot of people, they'll say, you know, I've fallen off all of the spine exercises that you told me, Dr. Fuller. And I'll say, well, let's increase that by 10%. Let's grab one of the stretches. Can you do one stretch morning and night for the next 30 days? They say, sure. I've done that 30-day experiment many, many times, and there we go. On the way over, I was thinking about this 10% idea here on this show, and I remembered Dan Harris's book from a few years ago, 10% Happier. So Dan Harris is the newscaster that had a famous meltdown on air, and so he embarked on this meditation situation and ended up working fabulous for him. He came out with a new book, which I haven't read yet. But anyways, his book was 10% Happier. And I thought, wouldn't that be nice? So then I was suggesting to people today, before I thought of Dan Harris's book, which I did listen to a couple times, I said, how about 10% reduction in stress, 10% of that time that you would spend on something else to a few minutes of meditation? Could you do that? And many people say, I can do that. Yeah, that's good. Turn off the poison news, poison 10%, replace that with some thoughtful, invoking, meditative, inspiring information, an audio book, a CD, or something like that, or a program that would support your growth in your brain instead of inhibiting that. Sure. Can we encourage our children to decrease their electronic input by 10% and replace that with moving their bodies by 10%? Yeah, we can do that. Maybe it's just no electronics at dinner. That would improve 10%. Can the kids be encouraged to shut off their electronics 10% sooner before bed? And so on and so on. You can see where we're going with this, right? In my chiropractic office, I'll say, can you increase your chiropractic adjustments by 10% to help that chronic issue that you know does respond positively to chiropractic adjustments, but maybe 6 times a year is not enough. Maybe we need to go to 7 or 8. Somebody says, you know, I can do that. Instead of every 2 months, I'm going to come in every 6 weeks or something like that, right? So we can improve that. So 10% water we talked about. 10% less TV. I like that. 10% less TV is replaced by something else. And I think most people realize that these changes are something that they can handle and they can do it right away. 10% improvement, or taking away things that are not helping you by 10%. And you know what happens? The magic happens at 10%, I believe, is when you improve 10%, and you start seeing improvements in your physical body, in your mental state, in your emotional well-being, you actually get way more than 10% improvements. You actually see 50% improvements, which encourages you to make additional changes in your life. And then you make more change and so forth. But start with 10%. Pick the point in your life, whatever that subject is, stress, nutrition, spine and chiropractic, water, sleep, exercise, whichever one that needs to be changed, and you know what it is, look at that, make a goal, 10%, put that 10% on the fridge and on the mirror or wherever you need it, put it on your phone, 10% improvement, 10% change, 10% reduction in something, go with that. I think you're going to be really satisfied with your results. Talk to you soon.